everybody. How's it going? What's going on, Hakeem? You said, welcome back, Chef Shade. That's funny. Hey, guys. I know it's been a little bit of time since I've done live. Y'all, just life, family life. You know how it goes. I'll say this, I try, especially as somebody who is on social media or has chosen to be on social media in a certain capacity, I really try to make sure that I'm still living my own life. But I'm still really living real life because, it can be really easy to get sucked in to just this whole digital world, which definitely has, its benefits, but there's also a lot of toxicity. And so I always encourage people, especially people who are considering social media, starting YouTube channel, doing a further business, whatever. I always encourage them to still make sure that they make real life priority, real life interactions, meeting with people, going places, making that a priority, because it can be very easy to go online and get sucked into an echo chamber and then be radicalized, or to be, to feel crazy or to feel depressed, because social media is the place, online is the place where people can express their deepest, darkest parts of themselves, or troll, or do whatever kinds of things and feel like they don't have to face any consequences. And so if you're not going out and interacting and still having real life interactions with people, talking to men, talking to women, getting to know people, exercising your communication skills, then it can be really unhealthy. So what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Hey, Eugene. What's going on? Yeah, like I said, so that's really important. So with that said, that's why, I was out for a little bit. I had a lot of different family stuff going on. I had a wedding anniversary, and then my sister, you guys don't know, my sister is a singer-songwriter, musician. She had a concert out in LA that I had to go to. So there's just a lot of different family stuff, weddings. So that's what was going on, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here. So I just started my YouTube channel. It's about math lessons. Shout out to you, Eugene Steele. Shout out to you. I'm horrible. Well, I don't want to say I'm horrible at math, but math was never my favorite subject. So hats off. I have a lot of. My husband's an engineer, and he does math in his head, like on purpose, on his job. And I'm always respecting people who got to do it on the regular, because I'm one of those, like, I try not to do it unless I absolutely have to. But anyways, y'all, so let's just get right into this topic. If you're on here, hit that like button, get those likes up, y'all. If you would like to show support to this show, you can hit me on Cash or Venmo, Share. Also, super chats are open. I'll be sure to acknowledge all super chats. Now, I wanted to get right into this topic. I'm sure by now you guys have all heard. There's been so much records. There's been so much back and forth and controversy over this whole Roe versus Wade situation and how it was overturned. And couple that with the fact that I think it was yesterday that R. Kelly had a sentencing. He was sentenced to 30 years. And I wanted to talk a little bit about both, because I am seeing a bit of a connection, believe it or not, guys. Again, if you're on, hit the like button. Hit the like button. So, but here's what I want to talk about. So what I've noticed, right, maybe over the last few days, since the news about the Roe versus Wade has gone out, I have noticed a lot of different spaces, a lot of different femininity spaces or whatever, essentially double down on their misandry. I mean, like, dig their heels in deeply on the misandry, on the Black male misandry, whatever it may be, right? And so what's going on, something that I'm hearing right now, popular ideology or popular scheme of thought I'm hearing right now is women basically saying, hey, get ready, Black women especially, get ready, get strapped, get your guns, get your weapons, get protection, because these men out here are now going to try to enact revenge on you when you have to pay child support because you're not to abort a baby. And this is something that I hear. It's like, hey, women, this is going to backfire on you. Men are going to start turning on you. Black men, who are already violent, right, are going to turn on you. They're going to start, essentially harming or deleting women because of not wanting to pay child support. They're going to start deleting women because of these unwanted pregnancies. They're going to start deleting women because they are just violent and they're all this kind of different stuff. And so I've heard, since this Roe versus Wade whole scenario, right, the misandry, the assumption that Black men are already violent, That assumption, I've heard that idea kind of be re-energized, and in many instances resurfaced. So, and so this is something that I'm seeing across different femininity channels, just across different spaces in general. This Roe versus Wade being a reason not only for women to, to start to feel like the rights are being taken from them, but another reason for them now to really start to pump fear into this already harmful narrative that men and Black men in particular are prone to violence, and that this is going to be one more reason for them to act up. Hey guys, again, if you're on here, get the likes up. Okay, I'm seeing what and I'm seeing question mark. Wait, what's the question mark and what is the what and the question mark in reference to, guys? Help me understand. So like I said, this is something that I'm seeing just kind of floating around in different spaces. Now, with that, you have, again, R. Kelly, the whole sentencing of him. I think he said he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And situations like this, I think, are prime examples that some of these different misandrist spaces and channels use to, again, promote the propaganda. And so many people, so many misandrists, I'll just call it that, or male haters, love this scenario of R. Kelly because it really embodies how they want to paint the general typical Black male, right? Somebody who is, who is violent or who is aggressive towards women, who takes advantage of women, who uses their power in a way to actually, take advantage of women. And so R. Kelly, he really, and to a certain turn, he essentially represents, he is the embodiment of this Black male misandrist idea that is floating around as it relates to Roe versus Wade. And I think the timing of things are very, very, very interesting, because I would not be surprised, and I've already seen it to a certain extent. I would not be surprised if I see women saying, certain feminists saying, again, certain misandrists saying, hey, look at R. Kelly. This is a prime example. He is a prime example as to why we should not be procreating with Black men. He is a prime example as to why we need to essentially continue aborting our babies or aborting our kids, because all that's going to happen is men like this are going to abuse them. Men like him are going to take advantage of girls. Men like him are going to be violent towards them. And so there's this interchange, right, of something that's happening, a real world ruling, and these different popular events being used to promote misandry at every level. It was so interesting to me that Roe versus Wade really has a lot to do with the, women's rights of choice, abortion's right. That became a reason to promote misandry. That was interesting to me. Also interesting to me, like we see, this celebrity, right, R. Kelly, who very much is his own person. Most people don't live like that. Again, another reason to promote misandry. And this is what I'm seeing constantly. Like, there is this stream of thought among different femininity channels, among YouTube, it's just social media in general, where at every single turn, there is an opportunity to promote something negative. And I would say, as it pertains to the Black community, there is opportunity at like every single scenario to continue to drive this gender divide. And I see this being incredibly toxic, and I see it being a problem. Let's hear, okay, they say men will have revenge. Oh, absolutely. I've seen a few channels literally say these men, I think I actually posted about it in my community tab. Yeah, I did post about it in my community tab. Literally, I think it was Nyla says, and then Real Talk with Yanni shared that. I think I heard Chrissy, if I'm not mistaken, kind of speak to this ideology. Paris Mall, just that a lot of different femininity channels that I listen to, I kind of peer just to get a sense of, okay, what is popular, what's being said. And there's a consistent theme of like, okay, guys, now we need to really focus in on Black femicide. We need to focus in on Black femicide. These men are deleting us. These men are going to harm us. And with this recent Roe versus Wade, we have got to protect ourselves, because now they're going to go and try to enact revenge on us for carrying babies that they don't want, or for being forced to pay child support. This is, like I said, this is literally an ideology that's being pushed out there. You said I'm like, yes. Yeah, unfortunately. And like I personally was shocked again, because I'm like, of all the things to talk about, this is a reason now to push misandry? Really? I thought this was about women's rights. I thought this was about women's right to choice. And we take this situation that has, in theory, has everything to do with a woman's body, and now we use this as a reason to try to drive a gender divide. I didn't appreciate that. I think that's very dangerous. So I hope you guys are following me. Again, guys, if you're on here, hit the like button, get those likes up. Also, show support to the show. Find me on Cash App or Venmo Shade if you like what this is about. If you like what we're doing here, support your favorite content creators, guys. I depend upon you to keep this show going. And, you know, my goal is to take this to the next level. So show some support, show some love. Shout out to Hakeem for the 20 on the super chat. I see for looking forward to taking this next level. Oh, thank you. You were reading my mind there. You were really reading my mind, Hakeem. I appreciate it. Shout out to you for the 20 on the Cash App. Again, guys, show support to the show. Cash App or Venmo Shade. So again, just to rewind. So Roe versus Wade happens. Everybody's up in arms. What I started to notice in Black female YouTube spaces, or just Black female digital spaces in general, was Roe versus Wade being a reason to push the old stereotypical message that Black men are inherently violent, and that this ruling is going to be one more reason for men to enact their need for revenge. Now, no data based upon this, no history of this being history or anything of this being a consistent theme among Black men, just narrative. I want you guys to understand that. And then now with the recent ruling of R. Kelly, like I said, the reason I think the timing of this is so crucial is because R. Kelly essentially is the embodiment of the stereotypical Black men that these women are in fear of, right? They may say, look at him. He abused women. He used his power, his position, or his prestige to abuse all these women to take advantage of young girls and preteens and adolescents. And they'll take him and then paint him as essentially the representative of all Black men. And so you're seeing that connection. You're seeing, see, ladies, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Get your guns, get strapped up, get suited and booted, basically. So this is what I hear. This is what I hear going on. You said, I thought femininity channels would be you, Danica Marie. Yeah, you know what? Femininity channels, that's up for debate. However you define it, this femininity channel is certainly up for debate. They're not all consistent, but nevertheless, you have many women out there promoting themselves as femininity channels, hypergamy channels, level up channels, Black woman first, Black woman empowerment. However, but not all of them agree on how to actually do that. I'll keep it at that. So I want to turn your attention to something that I think is really important, because as I mentioned before, there are these really toxic ideas going out there right now as it pertains to men and women and their interaction post Roe versus Wade. And what's so interesting is that, like I said, what we are seeing, this negative messaging that I'm seeing being promoted to young girls, to women my age, just all ages, what we're seeing is that, again, at the end of the day, this is just white supremacist ideology now in blackface. And I think it's important we start to have these kind of scenarios, because so often what I hear, even I'll hear among different women as if we're doing something new, as if we're coming up with ideas that are fresh and they're cutting edge, and we're waking up finally and just, burning our. These are the kinds of different terms that I hear, but in reality, this same stereotypical messaging has literally been going on for centuries. And so I saw this video that Dr. Johnson did a couple of weeks ago that I wanna highlight. Shout out to him. I love his channel. I love his work. Really informative. But I want to highlight something that he shared from Dr. Tommy Curry, because I think it embodies really the root of the misandric messaging and the root of essentially this the root cause behind a lot of this gender war we see happening today. What's happening at the end of the day is that there are a lot of Black women today who are literally parroting white supremacist talking points, literally parroting things that, white racist, Nazis at the time, white supremacists, ideas that they came up with decades ago, even centuries ago. They're parroting it in blackface. They're parroting it as if it is something new, as if it's something they came up with, as if it's some new revelation, not based upon any data, not based upon any statistics, not based upon any truth, not based upon anything factual, simply narrative. Simply narrative. And these are the kinds of messages that I am seeing consistently. Partially why I wanted to take a little bit of break. I needed to get offline and just kind of disconnect. Like I said, spend time with family. I also just take time to listen in. And I must say, it's incredibly disappointing to start to see women who share my complexion, women who claim to be about Black woman empowerment, Black female empowerment, literally copy and pasting these same toxic beliefs that white supremacists came up with decades, centuries ago, doing the exact same thing. And the cold part about it is they think they're doing something new. They think they are doing something so cutting edge and inventive and so liberatory. And it's like, sis, do you not understand that you literally just believed a lie? A lot of the stuff is just based upon a lie. And I'm going to be breaking this down, you guys. I'm going to be breaking some of this down in a video that drops tomorrow about Black Femicide. Because like I said, that right now is something that's being parroted. That right now is something that's being pushed. This idea that Black men are going around deleting women at high, ridiculous rates, that they're prone to violence. And it's about time we have an honest conversation about that. So shout out to the 18th letter. It says, I hope, shout out to you for the $4.99 on the super. I appreciate it. I really do. It says, I hope that women wake up and see that the sisterhood doesn't care about them and that these content creators are the old methods of fear mongering. Bingo. They are the old methods of fear mongering, literally. The old methods of fear mongering. That's what's going on. There's a lot of fear mongering, and it's not based upon any evidence. And like I said, we could all point to that. We could all take that one scenario. We could all take, that one crazy off scenario and then try to pin it as a collective. But that is essentially the definition of propaganda at that point. Not looking at things for the truth, looking at them based upon narrative, looking at them from a one-sided vantage point. So I'm going to bring up this video that I saw. I saw this actually earlier today, and I thought, oh, this fits perfectly with the topic. And I think it's important because, again, what it does, it really starts as a trace the root to some of the misandrist messaging that we see going on even today. Misandrist, racist, problematic, use whatever term that it is. But what we're saying is that there's a root cause to this. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of Black women right now who feel empowered, who want to be empowered. And they're literally, like I said, by parroting white supremacist talking points, thinking that they're going to be liberated by white supremacy. White supremacy has never been here to liberate Black folks, Black women or Black men. And it's crazy to me when I start to actually see women who confess to be about Black women literally believing the lies that were actually put out there for the very purpose of destroying them. And they're falling into the very beliefs that are meant to destroy them, and they don't even know it. To me, that's the cold part. So I'm going to bring this up, and I just want you guys to see really quick, because I think I was like, it'd be better to just get straight to the source. Let me see. Again, guys, if you're on here, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Wait, let me see if I forgot to do this. Okay. Okay. So I think y'all can see it now. This is, like I said, I was listening to this earlier today, and I thought it fit in perfectly. So I'm just gonna play it so you guys can get a sense. If you haven't seen it already, and then we can go from there.
To Dr. Tommy Curry. Dr. Tommy Curry posted this today, and I thought it was, it needed to be said. Right? Had to be acknowledged, had to be dealt with, because it was powerful. Right? He posted this on his Facebook page. He said, finally found a reference to free Black men being a danger to women and children and beating women after slavery, which was mentioned by Bell Hooks and We Real Cool. Bell Hooks asserts, with no citation or reference, that Black men beat their wives in barns after emancipation. In 1857, Samuel Cartwright wanted to justify the institution of slavery. To do this, He argued that freeing Black men would lead to the abuse of women. This is where Bell Hooks is getting this nonsense from a pro-slavery ethnologist. The ethnology of the Negro or Prognathous race, or Prognathous race. New Orleans Academy of Sciences, 1857. Let me bring it up because I thought I had it here, but apparently I had not put it on screen yet. So let me go ahead and pull it up. Bear with me for a moment. I hate making you guys wait. And so crazy today. Everything is taking longer than I had planned. So anyway, but this is an incredible post, most particularly because of what it highlights. So let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. And enlarge this a little bit. So this is a page. About as large as it gets right here. But I will read the section of relevance. So this is a page that comes from Ethnology of the Negro, or Prognathous race. And the point of contention, I'll start right here with his reference. And this is Samuel Cartwright. And I'll talk a little bit about him in a minute, but I want to at least foreground what Dr. Curry laid out before we go into it. So when he's talking about the Migratians, he's talking about Nigerians. He says, were Africans proper, not only enslaved their wives, but paved their courtyards with the skulls of the refractory or disobedient. Wealth and power acquired by the husband so far from elevating the wives add to their degradation by being used to increase their number. King of Dahomey, according to the most authentic accounts, has 3,333 living wives, besides a vast number whom he has capriciously murdered. Nor does what is called Negro freedom elevate the colored woman, but sinks them lower. The husbands hold them in abject slavery. They dare not kill them as an African. But they beat and maltreat them in cellars of New York and other places in the northern states, which they dare not do in the South. The freedom of the husband is a loss to the women and children. They are in slavery still and have lost their white protectors. That's interesting. So Samuel Cartwright here is talking about women and children being slaves to Black men without white protectors. Those white protectors, of course, being slave owners themselves. Now, what Dr. Curry does is he relates this to this piece here from We Real Cool by Bell Hooks. And I apologize, I can't make it any larger.
Can you guys hear? I'm seeing somebody said there's audio. Can you guys hear fine? Because I want to make sure you guys can, you're able to hear it. Is audio good? There's a few more that I want to play, a few more minutes I want to play, but I want to make sure you guys can hear because it's some pretty important information. That's why I'm playing it. So let me know in the comment section if the audio was good. I did see somebody complain about it. Let me know. I'll wait. I will wait. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything, so I'm just going to assume that all is well on the audio. And I will continue to play. Okay, let me go back just a little bit. And guys, if you're on here again, hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button.
To this piece here from We Real Cool by Bell Hooks. And I apologize, I can't make it any larger for some reason, but it is what it is. But she says on page 4, and it was within this notion of patriarchy that educated Black men coming from slavery into freedom sought to mimic. However, a large majority of Black men took as their standard the dominator model set by white masters. When slavery ended, these Black men often used violence to dominate Black women, which was a repetition of the strategies of control white slave masters used. Some newly freed Black men would take their wives to the barn to beat them as the white owner had done. Clearly, by the time slavery ended, patriarchal masculinity had become an accepted ideal for most Black men, an ideal that would be reinforced by 20th century norms. Now, a couple things to clarify here. You need to pick up the man not. You definitely need to pick up Tommy Curry's man not, because that is, that really provides the framework for a lot of this language. But one
Sorry, the audio wasn't on. Try that again. Okay, so really quick before I continue, just to bring you guys up to speed, he basically, started, shout out to Dr. Tommy Curry, who had basically found more evidence of the root, like what began some of these really stereotypical ideas we have going on today as regards to the Black community and Black men, right? And so he traced one to I think the word is ethnographer. I hope I didn't butcher it, but he traced it essentially to this racist scientist, for lack of a better term, who had written this whole description of how Black men are, or how he perceived African people to be. We find out later on that it's not based upon really any evidence. It was all made up. Nevertheless, this is something that was documented by a contemporary of that time. And so that framework that, was found to be false, was found to be based upon complete lies. There's basically racist guy making up these things about Black people and about African people at the time. That was a framework, and that was a foundation of what would become Black feminist ideology. And some of the ideas we see being parroted even today, all based upon this lie that this racist man created as a way to essentially fearmonger. And so that's really what's going on. Am I still? Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's really what's going on. I don't think I'm muted anymore. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to continue to play, but I just wanted to kind of give you a framework of what he was reading, and I'll continue a few more minutes, and then we will get right into it.
One of the arguments that he deals with in the Man Not is this question, this assumption, this accusation, most particularly by feminists, that Black men seek to emulate white men, and thus, as Bell Hooks is about here, to live out a white patriarchal fantasy of domination, exploitation, and patriarchal control. Right? This is the accusation that's been levied at Black men for quite some time. But what Dr. Curry has figured out is that those accusations are actually based on earlier white ethnologists like Samuel Cartwright, who fabricated arguments with no evidence or empirical basis, right? These are the kind of arguments that they pose to frame Black men. Now, this would happen again in the 1960s and 70s. Dr. Curry also did some work there pointing out and naming the very specific Black feminists that actually appropriated what he called subcultural violence theory, or what's called subcultural violence theory, which is in turn an updated version of Samuel Cartwright's work, where you have white ethnologists fabricating arguments, I should say, about Black men without using data, and Black feminists in turn appropriating that information and arguing it as fact. And this has had an impact on us culturally in the Black community, especially among the educated elite, because one of the things it's done is pushed for a very particular approach to Black men that Black feminists have championed. But what many of them have overlooked is what Dr. Curry has proven empirically, that is that these arguments are baseless, and they actually come as an attack to Black men. It's an attack of Black men using information that is inaccurate and has racist origins. And he just found another example of that today. So y'all know I'm a supporter of Dr. Curry's work, founder of Black Male Studies. So this is the kind of thing that scholars in the field have been framing and putting into context for quite a while. So shout out to Dr. Curry.
So, okay. So I think you guys pretty much understand. If you want to see the whole video, check it out. I will put it in the description box. But there you have it. Like I said, there you have some of the earliest historical documentation of where these ideas really came from. And the crazy thing about it is, you know, it could be easy to look back to that time and say, oh, you know, slavery was going on. There was all kind of crazy stuff going on. This is 2022. But unfortunately, like I said, that created the framework and the foundation for what would become feminist, especially Black feminist ideology that is specifically targeted against Black men, all again based on a premise, all based upon lies. So this to me, I think some of the fundamental problems that I find with many of the popular conversations going on today in the space, that much of this gender war that we see going on is based upon a false premise, is literally based upon lies. And I'm not saying that, you know, nowhere am I saying that all Black men are perfect and never do anything wrong. No. Like I said, of course, there are bad apples. There's bad apples in every single bunch. There are Black men who do really bad and evil things. I mean, look, you even have people in the manosphere beefing over the Pookie and the Rere conversation, and you know, some men openly talking about how they don't believe that, you know, that men need to do better. So it's like, I mean, these are conversations that men themselves are even having and saying, look, okay, here are ways that we can improve. So no one is going around acting as if men do no wrong and there's never been any problems. But the issue is that some of the most popular ideas being promoted today come from this racist, problematic root. Again, not based upon fact, not verifiable by fact or any evidence. Just somebody trying to push a narrative at that time to essentially promote his own goals. Presumably he was a slave owner. And that which happened at a couple of hundred years ago, not only do we still see it today, but we see it being parroted and spoken by Black women. It's like literally partnering themselves with white supremacist talking points and white supremacist beliefs, thinking that they're empowering each other. And it's like, sis, what's going on? And so I saw that and I thought it fits so beautifully into what's going on today, because like I said, here we have a scenario that literally impacts everyone, impacts men to a certain, impacts women, of course, to a certain extent impacts men, and yet this now becomes another reason to promote misandry. Like I said, just literally making up ideas at this point. Oh, these guys are just going to go start deleting women all of a sudden. Oh, these Black men are just going to all of a sudden start deleting women. Based upon what evidence? Based upon what? We can all point to that horrible such a scenario or that bad homicide. We can all point to that. But what evidence do you have that Black men are just genetically predisposed to be going around and deleting Black women? We don't have that. And yet situations like this, and every moment, at every turn, it becomes a reason to promote these ideas, and it's passed off as empowerment, as Black female empowerment, and it's BS. It is BS. Because it's based upon a false premise. And in no way you're going to get anywhere good, no way you're going to empower yourself, no way you're going to get any positive change if you are moving based upon BS, moving based upon nonsense and lies. And this is what's going on. Guys, if you're on here, get those likes up. Okay, guys, give me a second. I need to plug my computer in or else it's going to die. Give me 1 second, y'all. Dang it. Technical issues. Now my camera is not wanting to work. This is fun. Okay, so you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna take a very quick commercial break as I try to work this out, guys. Guys, hit the like button also. Be sure to show support for the show. I'm gonna take a little commercial break and see if we can get this stuff worked out, and then I will continue the conversation. So let's do that. So hopefully, okay, hopefully we're good now. Anyways, y'all, if you want to hit that like button, I see people tuning in here. Yeah, guys, we were just going over some of the different evidence. So for those of you guys who just hopped on, really all we did was roll a couple of things, right? Roe versus Wade, that's a controversial scenario. It's going to continue to be a controversial scenario. All of the covert messages have come out, and I would not be surprised if this has put a battery in the back. Like I said, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot behind that whole conversation. But one of the things that I wanted to really highlight was something that I found incredibly problematic as it relates to the Black community, and how, in particular, there's been a lot of Black female spaces that have used this as an opportunity to push again that gender divide narrative, to push yet again the age-old stereotype that Black men are just prone to violence. And so now suddenly this Roe versus Wade idea is going to be a reason for Black men to go and be violent or essentially delete Black women who are carrying babies that they don't want, deleting Black women because of child support, and all this stuff that it's like, we don't, based upon what? Like, how are you saying that now Roe versus Wade is just going to automatically radicalize Black men to just go start deleting women? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but nevertheless, that is a popular idea being promoted out there. Black femicide, like I've seen it a lot, which is why I'm going to be dropping a video about that tomorrow, guys. Stay tuned, where I kind of break it down. But what's interesting about this whole conversation is that which is so often passed off as being liberatory or passed off as being for women, for Black women's rights and Black women's empowerment, many of the ideas literally come from white supremacists. They literally come from white supremacists. And I played a video that I saw from Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, where there is basically additional evidence that kind of speaks to the root and speaks to the foundation of this whole framework, this whole idea, this whole essentially modern day ideology among women. And there is a direct connection between what Black women are saying and white supremacist ideology. And that's a problem. And again, I'm not saying this is all Black women, of course, right? But it's popular enough to where it needs to be talked about. And now it's been used over and over and over again that nobody even bats an eye. It's just assumed to be true. It's just assumed to be right. It's assumed to be fact, without there ever being any evidence behind it, without there ever being any really historical reason to come to that conclusion. And now it's just painted off as normal, and it's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous to any single time or every single time something happens, a big major event happens, it becomes a reason to blame men, becomes a reason to blame Black men. That's dangerous. That is not going to lead to the empowerment or the betterment of women, especially Black women. That will never happen. You will never empower yourself fully by trying to subjugate or step on the men in your community. That's never going to happen. That's not how it works. So I take issue with that, because I think it's not only is it wrong, it's just inaccurate, but it's really dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous. So that's what we talk, guys. If you're on here, again, the like button. Shout out to you, Darren, with the fire on the Cash App. I appreciate it. Guys, if you like what this is about, if you like what we're doing, be sure to share, show some support. The Cash App. You can find me on Cash App or Venmo Sade. Again, support your favorite content creators. We depend upon you to actually do what we're doing. So my goal is to take this to the next level, but I need enough support in order to do that. So thank you for those of you guys who are consistent supporters. And hopefully once we get more support and the channel grows, then we can really start to expand these conversations. So anyways, y'all, that's what I got. I said, will you open up the lines? Miss Shay. Okay, so will you open up the lines, Miss Shay? Good question. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so if I get enough support, I will open up the lines. And if not, that's okay. I will continue this conversation with members. So Kevin C, we got Kevin C on the what's going on, Kevin C? What's going on, Kevin C? It's always good to have you. I see clever strategy, downplay white domestic terror and sex violence committed against Black people by accusing and projecting said behavior on Black men. Bingo. Shout out to the 120H, and I don't know what HNL is, but I appreciate the support. Dapper Gents, what's going on, Dapper Gents? It's always good to have you. Always good to have you. You said, wow, how can Black men beat a Black woman? I'm Majestic 42. I'm mad at you right now for that comment. I'm mad. That's disrespectful. I'm just going to pretend I did not see that comment, and I'm just going to move on. Okay. So yes. So like I said, that is really what I wanted to focus on. That's really what I wanted to focus on. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of controversy and a whole bunch of division already regarding this whole Roe versus Wade. Today, I didn't want to get deep into the whole who's right or who's wrong, because like I said, that in and of itself is a whole different conversation. And everybody named Mom is already having that conversation. What I did want to highlight is something that I don't really see being talked about, which is the very fact that I'm seeing this now being a reason to literally widen the gender divide in the Black community in particular. And it's being done by pushing messaging, literally pushing messaging that was created and promoted by white supremacists. And it's being done in blackface. And it's being done by Black women supposedly saying that they're empowering themselves at the expense of their own community. How does that make that make sense? You are empowering yourself through white supremacy, empowering yourself by parroting white supremacist talking points that were specifically made for the purpose of undermining the success of your community. That makes zero sense. And we're doing it and we're thinking that we are smart. We're doing it thinking that we are new, cutting edge, that we're burned to the capes, and that all of a sudden there's a whole new generation of Black women that just got a super new revelation, got all these new ideas that no one's ever heard before, and we're the first to ever do this. It's like, sis, no, you are not doing anything new. You are literally just copying and pasting age-old ideas, or ideas that have been floating around for a couple hundred years, that were specifically meant to undermine your success. And then you complain why the community isn't doing well, when you are literally promoting the very ideology that is meant to undermine its success. The sense is, where's the logic? Help me find the logic, people. Help me. Oh, okay. You said the unit of currency in Honduras. What's Honduras? That's dope. That's the place I want to go to for sure. So that's what we were talking about, people. That's what we were talking about. So I got a few minutes. I do have a few minutes, guys. I can open up the line. It's been a bit. So I have a few minutes. I can open up the line. And I think what's the 18th letter said you wanted to call in. So if any of you guys have stuff you want to share about this, feel free to. And again, let me say this. You know, I talk about these things not because I think all Black women are horrible traitors, race traitors, or because I hate women. Obviously, that's not it. If I didn't care about women, if I didn't care about what was going on, then we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I'd be doing something else, like watching the Netflix documentary or something. I'd do something more, something that I really like to do that doesn't require me to be up here having people potentially saying disrespectful things. But I do this because I think these conversations need to be had. I don't know how else to put it. And it's like, I don't have sons yet, but it's like one day I have sons. I want them to be in an environment where they know that there's people who actually believe in them. Don't look at them and just assume that they're going to be violent people just because of how they look. And I know that's always going to exist on some level, but it shouldn't exist by the women who look like them at the very least. That should not be acceptable. So it's like, no way it should be fine and dandy and okay to just be promoting ideas that are literally meant to destroy you. And I'm supposed to just sit around here and think it's cool, think it's okay, think it's like not a big deal. No. So when, like I said, you start having these conversations and start actually breaking down the numbers, looking at the numbers, and then all of a sudden people want to get butthurt. Or people want to say, oh, well, this isn't a point. Or, oh, well, you're using old data. Or, oh, well, then they change the argument. And it goes to show you that there are people out there at the end of the day who they really do not want. They don't want to have these conversations, because if they find out the truth about what they're believing is based upon a whole bunch of different lies, it undermines their whole identity. It undermines their whole reason of doing things. But if your reason for living is based upon a lie, you probably should unpack that. I would lovingly encourage you to unpack that. So like I said, we're not trying to do anything here other than just look at what is, and me seeing this Roe versus Wade be another reason to just double down on some ideas that are already toxic and dangerous. That's why I wanted to talk about it. So that's what I got, y'all. Again, y'all hit that like button if you're here. And we got Kevin C in the building. He said, will you continue this convo with us members, or will there be a separate member stream? I can. I can. If you want to, if you guys want to continue this, or if you guys want to do more, I definitely can. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll reach out. Maybe I'll reach out after. Demetrius, I'll reach out after and hit up the members and see how you guys are feeling about it. And if I get enough support, if you guys want to do it, then we definitely can. Okay, Kevin C in the building. What's going on?
Hello, hey Shay. Hey, first of all, welcome back. People were missing you, so you did explain your absence. You said you were taking a much needed break, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. People really need to do that. So good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, that's what I said before. I was like, at the end of the day, I always encourage people to make sure that they live real life, because if your real life becomes what's online, you will think that all women hate men, all men hate women, that the Black community is just burning down, that the world is going to end. Like, you're going to think just horrible stuff, because online is a space where people can say the most outlandish, crazy things ever and not have to face consequences. So you get a lot of polarizing views. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure, I had different family stuff going on. It's like, I wanted to make sure that I was present, and I encourage anyone to make sure that they are balancing social media with real life, because that's going to help them navigate and figure out what is actually going on. Social media is not real life. It is an indication of perhaps certain trends. Yeah. But it is not an indication of how people actually are living on day to day. So I think it's important that we exercise both. So, what
did Dave Chappelle say? He said, Twitter is not a real space, a real place.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, but and it's not just social media. I do that with news too, periodically. And the reason I do that is that sometimes the news is like, oh man, it's the same stuff and the same negative. I understand they have to report it because they have to report what's going on. You have to be realistic, and you can't report fun and happy stuff. And I know what they try to do at the end. They try to put in a lighthearted, pick up your day type story. But then but at the beginning though, it's harsh, it's hardcore, and it's just realistic. And sometimes it's like, okay, I got this story, I understand about it. I'll come back to it, about a week from now. But so you got to do that with everything. Hey, my target point's probably not going to take too long. And I see Rakim. Good to see you, brother.
Hakeem?
I saw him on I saw him on another live stream. It was actually pretty good. He always brings in good talking points. So I won't talk too long. I will say this. So this kind of goes back to the really back to the 1600s. Like, this is something that has been ingrained for centuries. And, one of the interesting things is that, so one of the reasons that people have you got to look at certain things with a bit of skepticism is, you remember drapetomania back in during Black enslavement?
Yes. Heard of that? Oh yeah, that's the disease where they basically say if a Black person ran away from slavery that they were mentally ill.
Exactly. So they had to literally come up with ways to justify, treating, Black people a certain way. So you know what? Let's come up with this crazy name that has nothing to do with it. It's a natural. Now keep in mind that they don't want to be enslaved themselves. They wouldn't do that to themselves, and they wouldn't do that to people from their race. But hey, if you want to get away from Black enslavement, then you must be crazy, because that's it's your natural position. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to run away? I don't understand all these revolts and these rebellions, and you guys fighting back, and why are you guys resisting? I don't understand. Just get out there and pick that cotton and let me do whatever it is, and just be quiet about it and stop complaining. So you have to come up with reasons to justify treating people a certain way, or how people get treated. And that just literally carried over from Black enslavement, post 1865. You get, things like the Black codes, and then you get all the negative situations associated with that to limit Black economic development, to limit Black freedom of movement. But the also thing too was there was always an excuse to go into destroy Black cities and towns. Those so-called quote unquote race riots. Hey, you know what? A Black man said or did something to a non-Black woman, specifically white women in particular. Let's go in and just burn this town to the ground. That was almost always the justification, whether there was any proof or not. And there was never any proof. You didn't need it. All you had to do was just spread a rumor, and that was it. And then that was literally, and notice they would never go to a town or a place where there was any, up and coming development. It was always a place that was fully developed, doing very well. A place that was always, where they're looking at it and there's some bit of jealousy, like, hey, these folks are doing just as well, if not better than us. You know what? Hey, let's start a rumor and let's go burn this place to the ground. That happened over and over and over. Dozens of cities and Black towns. So now you get to the point where you can't do that anymore, obviously, in the open. So now you have to come up with something else. So now it's a whole lot of projecting the same behavior, the domestic terror. You get what, 100+ years of domestic terror and violence, not only domestic terror and violence, but sexual violence against Black women in particular, still, even after enslavement. A lot of people don't know this, but there's a book I have in my collection. You know, I got a Black history little collection back here behind me. And at the dark end of the street, if you look at if you read that book, you will probably be triggered in a whole lot of ways, because it actually talks about the violence that was perpetrated against women specifically, and then what Black men could not do to stop it. If Black men actually tried to stop it, they were, you know, seriously injured, you know, intimidated, or just outright killed for protecting their women, children, family, all of that stuff. So, and I was triggered just reading it. So I had a hard time when we did the discussion on it. I had a hard time just trying to get that point out. And I was doing that from the male perspective. So I can't really fathom that from how the women, you know, felt about it. I was listening to how the women felt about it, and they had a whole different type of feeling about it too, because it perpetrates, what do you call it, rage against a man who can't protect them from another man who's actually perpetrating the violence. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's deep. That is deep.
Yeah, so yeah, but that's a book I'd recommend, At the Dark End of the Street. And it's written by Danielle McGuire, and it's a very interesting book. And that was going on well into the 70s. The last, domestic terror violence and sexual violence against Black, perpetrated by white men against Black women wasn't really, they didn't really get charged until like the mid 1970s, when you actually start to see them go to, get punished for it.
That's why I know, under my grandma, that's why she decided to move out to Cali. Because, she was from the deep South sharecropper, and that was one of her main reasons. She was like, she had the story. She was like, no, I was not trying to, for lack of a better term, be forced in a situation with a white man. I'm trying to keep it, PG, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that motivated her to come out here.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that Black men literally prevented their young daughters and their wives, especially if you had a nice looking young wife. You were like, nope, you cannot work in these white homes. You can't do it, because there was no way to actually stop that type of. I said all that to say this is that this is just a carryover and just another way. It's just another evolution of the projection of what, now obviously it's not happening as much as it used to before, but this is just another carryover and another way to actually get that message out there, keep it out there, and put up basically a lie and a bunch of rumors now that vilify and demonize one specific group, so that way people stay afraid, stay very afraid. And the crazy thing is that when you look across the board, there are people who commit the same and similar crimes all throughout all racial groups. It's just that, our group is targeted the most because, there's a lot of reasons for that. But literally, there's a story every other day or almost every, day. And I know you can find 2 or 3. All you got to do is go do the search, and they're all online. Now, one of the things they try to do is hide it, is they try to avoid putting pictures in. If it's a Black man, they'll put a picture accompanied with, a backstory and all this other stuff and everything else.
You ain't lying about that. You are not lying about that. And
but if it's a non-Black person, then they'll especially you can kind of pick the name. Say if it's a Hispanic name, or they'll be very dubious about who it is or what race, by not mentioning the race at all and not leaving a photo. So whenever I see something like that, I'm going, okay, you know what? It's a non-Black person, because they're quick to throw the Black man under the bus. So whatever. So that's just the technique that's being used today. Anyway, and the thing is that I'm not saying that we don't have that problem in our group. I'm not saying we don't have criminals. I'm not saying we don't have bad actors. I'm not saying that we don't have guys who actually do that. We absolutely do. But the overwhelming majority, any common sense, pragmatic, logical thinking person, all they have to do is, do a little bit of research, and you see that that's absolutely not the case. And that's why when somebody from a non-Black group actually approaches me or talks to me about it or tries to come at me, I'm like, look, don't let me get started on your group, because I'm gonna start pulling up the receipts. Are you saying that our group is the only group that's prone to anything, as far as crime, violence, this, that, and the third? Because I'm looking at, I just found 3 stories today from your race about people who committed these heinous crimes. So, and when you start talking that way, people are like, oh, hey man, hey, chill, really, come on, bro, stop. I'm like, no, don't come over here acting funny with me when I'm sitting here looking at, like, I'm looking at you and your group. And I'll tell you, and this is the last thing I'll say, because I know I'm kind of dialoguing here, but here's what this does. It literally causes the better men to be more cautious on how they move around in the world and how they interact with not only their own women and, their own people, but everybody else, to the extent that we do it, we limit our movement, we limit our, their exposure. You'll limit just basically anything that makes it seem like, you could be accused of anything. So the better men who are actually available to actually do all the protecting and the assistance and the good people that are out there, those men are actually in spaces that keep them away from all the nonsense. You want your better men out there, right?
Right. Right.
But when the better guys pull back and they isolate themselves just out of their own self-preservation, and then you're wondering, well, where's all my protection? Why isn't somebody helping me? Or, or they, even if they see a situation that's ongoing, the first, rule is, self-preservation. And then you can, decide whether or not you want to intervene based on the serious risk of injury or even death to yourself. So when you do this stuff, you get a lot of second, third, and fourth order effects that I believe that a lot of women don't consider on the back end.
That's what I'm saying. No, absolutely. And and that's the thing about it. I mean, I'm going to break this down in my Black Femicide video that should be dropping tomorrow. But I'm like, anybody who is serious about having a conversation about homicide is actually going to look at the variables that lead to that, i.e. poverty, class, socioeconomic status, access to healthcare, access to quality food, health. I mean, there's all these things, all of these things that actually lead to homicide. And we find that no ethnic group is, I guess, extinct from experiencing those things. Like every single person, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, under the oppressive conditions, commit higher rates of homicide. This is why, as people move up in class, or this is why as people make more income or get education, or move, those different things, the rates of homicide go down. It is not correlated to race at all. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with the other different oppressive scenarios and systematic scenarios that would require a people group in distress to react. So that's why it's just like, it's total BS. Anybody who's really serious about that conversation knows this. But like you said, you had a lot of people out there who were just trying to parrot their own talking points. Not because. Excuse me,
Ms. Shay. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know.
Interrupt. Shout out to the brother Kevin C. And thank you once again for allowing me on your platform. I just wanted to iterate on what you were saying. And for people that are serious about femicide, all they have to do is look at the statistics on what's going on in places like Honduras, and who has an astronomical high rate of femicide, in these various different countries and different things like that. Yeah,
it's a major issue. And I don't like to talk about issues in the country. You guys, that HNL, that Honduran period, that's actually where I am. And I'm, because I'm in, I consider myself a guest, obviously, in their country. I stay away from issues and stuff like that. So, and I actually try to, bring out all of the best and the brightest things about, obviously the place that I'm, a guest in. So I try to stay away from that. But yes, you do have a point. There's a major issue here. There's campaigns, a whole lot of stuff, and so that's a real thing.
But that goes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I'm saying, but I would reiterate both of your guys' earlier points. Probably is that correlated with their genetics? No, it's likely correlated with the fact that there are many people there who are in abject poverty, and there's different reasons for this. There's different systematic reasons for this. That's another conversation. But again, people who are under distress, you know what I mean, tend to do more violent things, period.
Yeah, there's studies that actually support that. When you take away the markers or the situations in the environment that actually disenfranchises any group, you take away all of that stuff and everything being equal, then you get about the same rate of crime across all the races.
Exactly.
Somebody actually did the study on that, and I studied criminology back when I was in college, so I know this, and I always try to, because that was one of the reasons I focus on. I'm like, why do people always blame us or blame black people for crime, this, that, and the third? And then, you know, that was the one thing that really stood out with me, and I keep referring to that study. Now, I should know it right off top of my head. I don't, but I do remember the major talking point that when you eliminate all those major factors that disenfranchise you economically, most of that stuff goes away, and crime is relatively the same across the board for all races. So yeah, it is an economic disenfranchisement factor. That's one of the main points.
For sure.
But yeah, so, I'll go ahead and I'm playing right there and let everybody else talk.
Okay, thank you. The 18th letter, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yes, I do, Miss Sade, and you're absolutely correct. And that's one thing that I didn't add as well. Yes, it has a lot to do, the things that you see in other countries, like, you know, South American, all over the world, has a lot to do with extreme rates of poverty. We all know poverty produces crime. Poverty produces stress. Stress produces crime, you know, and, you know, people in other areas are fighting for survival. But, you know, when it comes to black people here in the United States, you know, no one looks at that. They just try to create a false narrative and just try to make it, you know, paint a picture that we're vehemently more violent than any other group, when you're not even looking at the situations that you subjugated these people to, even after 1865, you know, everything that's transpired since then, which has created a powder keg and a buildup on what's going on at this particular moment. Just to clarify on what you were saying earlier, I actually, with these content creators, like it's getting outrageous. It's really getting outrageous, and I'm very surprised that a lot of these people have not lost their channels for hate speech, because you have the content creators such as, and I don't know if I can say their names, anything like that. I'll just play it safe and don't. But women like the Colorism Queen and French Italy, these women are more smarter than other content creators, which makes it even more dangerous, because they know better. They have done, like, I was watching these women's channels before they went rogue and decided to completely switch their content for for financial gain. And these women know better, and they know that they're misleading a lot of women. And when it came to the divestment talk and a lot of the fear mongering, because women like the Colorism Queen has admitted in previous live streams that she can be sneaky. She has admitted that she has a marketing degree. So when you take those elements and you combine them, you know that you can word things in a more profound way that can attract subscribers and, you know, people to listen to your content. So she wouldn't go off the rails like someone like these real extreme divestors, but she would insinuate a lot of those things, and she would, you know, align herself with the divestment movement, you know, as far as being cordial with that movement, until recently the passing of, rest in peace, Mr. Kevin Samuels. And, you know, as we seen, it was a lot of people that were very fond of Mr. Samuels' content that was not black, who, you know, created videos saying how disgusted they were about these women that were laughing and mocking this man's death, when all this man had was an opinion, you know. And as you see, a lot of those channels begin to fall back from the divestment rhetoric. Slowly but surely, some of them start proclaiming that they were not divestment, they were not, you know, affiliated with divestment. And these are women that was on the, you know, ring around a rosy bash a black man train for the last 6 to 7 months, when their subscriber count was through the roof and they were making, you know, money off of views and, you know, getting great monetary gain. Now I've seen recently on French Italy's channel, where on a post that she put on the community tab, "Stay strapped, ladies," where these ladies are literally not trying to, you know, get firearms to protect themselves, but insinuate to get firearms to pretty much go out and justify a reason to kill black men. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. To delete black men.
It's fine, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's it's deep. Like I said, it's deep, and that's partially why I'm dropping this Black Femicide video, because a lot of this stuff is just based upon BS. And to your point, there's bad actors out there who, at the end of the day, know that trafficking and misandry and in hatred is what gets them money, what gets them paid. But you know, I take personal issue with that. You know, of course, I can't ever change what anybody else is going to do. They're going to do what they're going to do, but I can at least do my part to at least put the truth out there, and whoever wants to hear it can hear it. You know, so
absolutely. And when you look at the history of, you know, we've always had women like this within our group. It's just a lot of us never really paid attention to it. When you look at the history of Bell Hooks, and you look at, I hate to say it, but even Sojourner Truth, and you know, things that Ida B. Wells did, and like these different, you know, feminists that Eunice Rivers, you know, these different people that carried out, you know, this type of rhetoric, you know, and took action upon it, think it was going to benefit them in some type of way. And that's what we're just seeing as a replay of that right now, in particular. You know, like what I was just saying recently about that community tab. We just saw a woman in Philly who went and, you know, used her firearm on a man point blank range after, you know, this man didn't pose any type of threat. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that in the future. Because what we're seeing now is a lot of these women have been radicalized online, and the ones that has done the radicalization are now deleting lives and trying to hide their hands.
Yes,
you know,
yes. It's exactly what's happening. No, I'm sorry. I'm agreeing with you. That's exactly what's happening. People are being radicalized. I mean, there's a whole Netflix documentary on this. I mean, whether or not you believe, you know, agree with the mainstream media, of course it has its issues. But, you know, there's, you know, at the very least, there's this baseline of truth of people going online and being radicalized different ways. You know, women being radicalized, men, there's different political groups. I mean, there is no people aren't excused from this just because they're a woman or a man or the Black or the white or Asian. It's just, if you're a human being, you can be radicalized if you are unwell or if you know, are just not all right. And it happens every single day. And it's by misinformation. It is largely due to misinformation.
And another thing that people need to understand, because we know that a lot of these people that push out this rhetoric still have relationships with Black men,
yeah,
personal lives and different things like that. But I honestly do feel that they believe what they say. I just think a lot of people settle, a lot of these people that create this content actually settle for Black men because, you know, they're not able to get the other options that they actually want. I really, you know, thoroughly do believe that. But a lot of these content creators, we have to pay close attention to some to certain content creators more than others, because the ones that are able to articulate themselves in a way to come off as intelligent without any type of stats to back them up, those type of ones that delete their lives and you know, go back on their word and say one thing and, you know, separate themselves when it's convenient for them, those are the ones that are the most dangerous, in my opinion.
I know, I hear you. No, I agree. Well, I you know, I appreciate for you coming on and sharing your perspective. Like I said, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. For those of you guys listening, please stay tuned for a video I have coming up, dropping tomorrow on the Black Femicide video. I think it's going to start to hopefully take a stab or a gut punch at some of these lies out here. I mean, women at the end of the day with bad intentions are going to continue with their bad intentions, but the truth needs to be out there. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'm going to have plenty of sources and break down why many of these ideas that we have are just quite frankly, based upon lies and not substantiated by any form of evidence. So,
and one thing I just wanted to note, Ms. Shay, and the irony of most of these women that are now radicalized, you know, divestment feminist channels, well, quite a few of them were actually brought out by, most of them was introduced to the space by Black men.
Yeah, Boyce Watkins. I know he did quite a few.
Boyce Watkins, the colorism queen, was introduced by Sergeant Willie Pete. Paris, of course, what's the other one? Nyla Says came in by O'Shea Du Jackson. Like a lot of these, yes, a lot of these people actually came in here, and now we've seen that due to what has transpired with the algorithm in YouTube, it is very difficult that we're at the stage where we can have honest conversation, because people are willing to do the dirty work that the media has done for years, because YouTube is now our own personal media. So if you can twist narratives and if you can create false narratives with fear mongering, and that's going to make you money, it goes to show you that humans will do that no matter what. Just no different from the media has disparaged us for the last hundreds of years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, like I said,
so again, residual third, fourth order effects. Okay, so they just had that mixer where the men didn't show up and there was complaints about that. You think dudes weren't thinking about that? Nah, I'm not really feeling going into that situation where there might be something negative that come out of it. I'm a honest, hardworking, productive black man. I got things to lose. There's a lot of rhetoric out here. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. You know what? I'm just not really sure. You know what? I just won't even go. And then you have people actually complaining about that, and then ridiculing and making fun of it, when every little thing adds up to people, especially to men who are very particular about guarding themselves, guarding their futures, and really want to actually do the right things and build families and have so much to lose. Everything from their lives to their livelihood to imprisonment to everything else based on an accusation. That's literally all it takes these days. So we just don't have that. And you got to be smart out here.
You know what? Interesting. Even as we're having this conversation. I went to what do you call it? French Italy or something, whatever the name is. But I think I'm probably post on this. I'm looking at the Get Strapped from Paris Milan, just looking through the comments. And to be fair, I know it's hard. Even me as a content creator, it's really hard to be able to manage all the comments. It's nearly impossible. But just perusing through, looking through the different comments, looking at what different people are saying, and it's frightening and it's disgusting. And I'm probably going to talk about it. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I actually sent you that post on Instagram as well, but I know being a busy woman, you might have not got a chance to see it. But even like once you said, like what you were saying, shout out to Dr. Tia Johnson, because one thing he said, once you find out the root of misandry, you can't unsee it, because everything started making sense. Me as a black man in my life, being a young black male in school with black women teachers and everything, and them looking at you no different than a white supremacist to a degree, or dealing just with women in levels of power that feel like they can just treat you any type of way. Your own women that feel like they can just treat you any type of way because they have a level of power over you. It was actually I saw a video of a young man who had committed a crime in Detroit, and he was 16 or 17 years old, and this white judge, a man, wanted to give him a break. He said, it's a possibility that you may have not had any discipline and guidance in your life from any type of positive male role models within your life. So I'm going to cut you a slack. And it was actually a black woman that was a female prosecutor that started arguing with the judge on trying to give him the maximum sentence.
Oh my God. I heard about this scenario. I heard about the scenario, and it's so crazy. I never ever expected that I would live in a time where now if I go to a hospital, or I'm looking at nurses or different things like that, I have to be a little bit more selective if I'm working with black folks, if I'm working with black women, because it's hard for me to accept this, but I know, if you have the abort black male babies, and you have this whole idea of being parroted by the black woman and not being widely checked, and not being somewhere siloed in some corner, but being promoted on these different channels, it's like, I now have to be aware if I have, let's say I have sons, or I'm thinking about, doing that. It's like, I got to make sure I'm going to take it to another Black woman that's not going to want to treat him wrong, or not going to want to do little things. Like, we know infant mortality is high for Black women, and a lot of that we know is due to systematic issues and not getting proper care. But it used to be, okay, well, if I get a Black doctor, if I get a Black midwife, if I get a Black nurse, I don't have to worry about that. But now it's like, okay, do I have to worry about, like, if I'm going for a Black midwife, do I need to make sure she also doesn't hate Black boys? So in the event I'm having a Black son, she doesn't have that in the back of her head. You know what I mean? So
see, this is what causes people to have to move differently and have to think and have to actually literally plan out their lives around circumnavigating these issues. That is the issue. That's the problem. It even affects women.
And even one thing else I wanted to add, like for instance, the colorism queen, I remember when she did a live where because I watch a lot of these people's content just to keep up with what they're saying, because it's always a false narrative. Because that's what makes the money. And if you notice, a lot of them have not been doing the divestment content. They wait for a story to break, including Miss French Italy, where it's a negative portrayal of a Black man, and then they pop out of their holes and decide to, you know, come back on and you know, put that content out. But one thing she said in particular, when she said that, you know, I'm thinking about trying to divest from, quote unquote, with her words, dumb Black women. And it goes to show you that she thought this all along, but she looked at that particular fan base as a group to exploit and, you know, send them in that type of direction. Maybe she felt that they was going to go in that direction anyway, so she might as well capitalize off of the mentality of a lot of these women. And you even have people now that are trying to go in another direction when they were divestment. Now they're trying to slowly ease into the realm of being realistic about what white supremacy and racism is. But the thing is, when they allow people to come on their panels, they've done so much damage with the divestment rhetoric that they don't want to hear reality. They just go right to attacking Black men. And, you know, they just can't be honest and say, look, it was a hustle. A lot of us joined in on this hustle to capitalize off of misandry, but, you know, I'm trying to ease away from that now, because it's a possibility that a lot of these women can get their channels deleted, including Real Talk with Yunny and all of it, because these are their like livelihood. So they're willing to do whatever to keep the money rolling in when it comes to, you know, spewing out this hate speech, and then they're misleading a lot of these young women down, you know, down the wrong road. And then they say it's staying on code when they're not actually telling them that, you know, the pros and cons of dating other groups of men or what to look out for. They're not giving them any valuable information. The only thing they're teaching them is that Black men are the enemy. And in my personal opinion, I'm sorry, as a Black man, I'm frustrated and fed up and angry with these type of people, because they are our enemy. They're enemy to the Black community. Unfortunately, we have to move accordingly. And just to think, just seeing those comments on French Italy's channel, you could just think that a woman is waiting for you to try to speak to her, or possibly just like, hey, how you doing? I find you attractive, to find a reason to delete you. That is scary. You know, that's scary. Yeah. There's even a comment on there where a woman said, you know, I say we start doing to them what they're doing to us, start taking them out. That's now it's getting reckless.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So that's, like I said, this is precisely why I've decided to talk about some of this different stuff. And this is also why I say, you know what, it's important to go out and live your life, because if you spend all you know, most of your day on social media, you won't want to talk to anybody. You'll think everybody is crazy. And, you know, unfortunately, what do they say? The hit dog hollers. The people who are I think are the least acclimated to real life, the least acclimated to, you know, real person-to-person experiences, tend to find solace online, which is why I think one of the reasons you find the most unhealthy, toxic behavior and hate speech online, because a lot of them are just, you know, maladapted people. So this is not to downplay this certainly does exist. We have decades of history showing that misandry and Black misandry in particular are real. But I always still try to couple that and say, yes, but there are still people out there who aren't anywhere interested in this, and there still are women. There still is hope, you know, in some capacity, even if it's a little bit. All it takes is one. So it's like, that's why I was like, I was out. I was like, okay, I need to go liberal left. I need to go listen and see what's going on, because you stay too much online and social media, you just won't want to talk to anybody. You'll think everything is horrible. And that's just, I don't think that's fair, you know? So, but this has been good, guys. Also, shout out to Raw with the 20 on the super chat. I see it's not the Pookies they care about stopping. They will end up dead or in jail regardless. It's the brothers that actually want to build with other Black men and have stable families that they want divestors targeting. That is actually true, believe it or not. More to come on that. I have receipts. Shout out also to Percy. I agree. Some of these channels are borderline hate speech, but you say one thing about X people, X community, and then you're canceled. Yeah, appreciate the 5 on the super chat. I do. I wish I had my hand clap, but that thing is down. My soundboard is like not working, so bear with me, guys. But anyways, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But if you guys have any final thoughts, Kevin C or the 18th letter, let me know.
No, yeah, we covered a lot. Good talking points, good subject, and yeah, just I don't know how to. I just can't figure out how to stop it. So again, the smarter men, the men who have something to lose, are going to figure out better ways in their life how to circumnavigate the issues and the problems and the process and the negativity and the falsity and the rumors and everything else. And that literally removes the better group or the better men from the pool. And when that hurts women, it hurts children, it hurts the elderly, the people who are most subject to being prone to attack and victimized by other people within their race and outside of the race. So yeah, women have to be very careful about that. So good talk, good conversations. Thanks for letting me up. 18th letter, good to see you, brother. Hey, you guys take care. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. 18th letter, what you got?
Shout out to Kevin C. Pleasure to see you once again, brother. And Miss Sade, thank you for allowing me on your channel once again.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. And I would just say that it's exactly what you said. It's more dangerous than we all expect, because I'm starting to think maybe this has always been an intricate part of, maybe misandry has always been an intricate part in Black people's lives. It's just that it was so commonly accepted that we never able to, vocalize it or, put a word to it. And even when we talk about the self-centeredness of some of these women and the narcissistic tendencies, even when we talk about the mixture where barely any men showed up towards later, a lot of these women did not want the men to show up to look for a partner. A lot of them just wanted men to show up so they can reject them for their own ego. That's where we're at right now.
That part. At the end of the day, I don't waste my time on people who don't want to change. I don't feel that's my lane. Maybe somebody else that's their lane, but not me. So it's like, I understand there's not everybody here that's going to want to do anything remotely productive. Some people just want to make money and they're willing to sell their souls to do it. Some people are just hard-headed and stubborn and rebellious and aren't, quite frankly, aren't fed up enough of their own sickness to want to change. So those people, you kind of have to leave them alone and let them go through their own process. Meanwhile, you got to move on with people who do want to actually do something productive, do want the truth, do want change, whatever it may be, and then you work with that. So I try not to get too caught up in crazy people not wanting to change. I'll focus on it as I think enough to highlight ideologies or I think ideas that are being spread or that are popular. Like, I'll highlight that as necessary, but try not to lose sleep over people who just, you know what I mean, have no desire to do anything different than be destructive. It's like, what's the point? So
I absolutely agree. It was just something that I, would, point out that I would see, because, you would try to, understand the mentality behind some of these people and see if it's a possibility, if you can make any type of logical sense out of their thought process, and you really can't. So yeah, that's all I have to add. Once again, thank you, Miss Sade, for allowing me on your platform. And I just wanted to give you your flowers and say thank you for the amazing work and the research that you've done to be able to be a voice for Black people in general. and being able to come on here and articulate yourself the way that you do and expose a lot of these lies and get to the root of these lies that has been plaguing our community for years.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for your support. Stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say. Stay tuned for more content. So you have a good one.
Thank you once again. Have a good one, Friday.
All right, guys. So I'm getting here. So yeah, this has been, you know, a pretty chill conversation, but I think we've covered off some new points. You know, like I said before, you know, there's just certain people who don't want to change. I don't know how else to put it. And quite frankly, I think there's a lot of women out there who got some bad spirits. I'm gonna just call it that. I know not everybody believes in that stuff. I know some people are religious, some people are not. My spiritual walk is very important to me, and I just think there's legitimately people out there who have bad, evil spirits, evil intentions. So it's like you can be like lay out the most logically sound case, have all the facts, have all of the information, have all of the data, all of the receipts, and they go reject it. Why? Because their spirits are off. This is how else to put it. So it's like, until you address that spiritual root for some of these women, nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. That's what I'm saying. Like certain people, you just got to kind of lead them to their own actions, and eventually they make it to the point where they say, whatever I'm doing is not working for me. But until a person comes to that conclusion by themselves, you're wasting your time arguing with them, trying to get them to change. You're a lot better off just doing what you know to do is right. You know what I mean? Focusing on yourself, focusing on your connection with God, focusing on what you know to be true, and moving forward. So that's what I'm trying to do. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned for my Black Femicide video that I have coming up. Not only do I want you guys to watch it, I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear your perspective if you disagree. And then I'm going to touch upon many of these toxic, dangerous, bad, destructive ideas that are being promoted as it relates to Black men right now, specifically, especially post Roe versus Wade. So I have receipts, don't worry, but I want to hear what you guys think. So be sure to check that out. It's dropping tomorrow, and stay tuned for other stuff. Also hit the like button if you haven't already. And if you also want to be a member, you can join channel membership where you will get exclusive access, perks. We do different stuff, lives, have behind the scenes conversations. So all that stuff. So join, you can do it for as little as $4.99 a month. It's good. I have some of my lovely members here. Shout out to Hakeem. Said, looking forward to the video. I know you've investigated a great deal of time. Yes, I have. I do have a lot of receipts. So like I said, that's why I want to hear feedback. You know, I don't pretend to be perfect here. So I put stuff out there. I do my due diligence. But I'm always open to having a conversation because I'm not God. I don't know everything. So that's why it's like I don't have to be right. But if I'm going to present a point, if I'm going to talk about something, I want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence so I'm not feeding into destructive propaganda. That's important to me. So thanks all of you guys. You've been awesome. Hit the like button, share, comment, super chat, Cash App, Venmo, all that stuff. And also stay tuned for upcoming content. And we will talk later. Bye.